Hi everyone, so we are here for the press conference of Etty. The TV show from Hagai Levi is an adaptation of the memoir of Etty Hilsum. We are here with Adrienne Fréjac from Arte, with Yaël Fogiel, the producer. You have obviously recognized Hagai Levi, the creator of the show. Then Julia Windischbauer, Sebastian Koch and Claire Bender, who are starting playing in the show, and Alexandre Piel, also for Arte. I'll just ask the first question, and then it will be your turn. Maybe for Hagai, Arte, the producer, could you tell us how this project started, and what were the first discussions that you had about Etty?
It's a bit far, huh? Is it okay? Yeah. Well, it started many years ago. I started writing it like 10 years ago as a feature film. And then it was postponed again and again by a television project that I have abroad. And then I met Yaël, and then actually it was at the same time when Yaël and I helped her a little bit to do En Thérapie with Arte. So that was the first connection with Arte, and I heard it was pretty successful. So it was nice to start a new project with them. So that's very dryly what happened. Maybe other people can say it more, more interesting.
Something, something very hot. Because in fact, I mean, it was, you told me about the project, because we did En Thérapie in France, we bought the rights from you, and so we did it together, and then with Arte, but then you spoke about Etty. And then one day we were here in Lille, in Series Mania, for En Thérapie 2, and we had lunch with Bruno Tapatino, and he asked, do you have another project? And we just told him about it, and he said, I want to do it immediately. And that's what happened. Arte came immediately, and then we built this European co-production. You can maybe tell about it from our side.
The European co-production was not only, Arte is a Franco-German company, but the true co-production is to create creative questions together with our colleague from ARD and from SWR, and it's Brigitte Ditart who is here and should be at this table, but I mean, you can talk to her, she's here. And we started to sort of only very humbly ask question mark over the whole process, creative process that just gave birth of from a journal to this amazing series.
And then just to add that, well, it was born like this, and Arte first, and then also, I mean, we joined, we met two producers from, we knew it going to be from the Netherlands and Germany, because it speaks Dutch and German. So, and it was strange for a French producer to produce something in these two languages that I don't speak also. So, first of all, it was to find a Dutch partner, and then we found Topkapi and Frans van Essel, that is here. And then we found Jonas from Koplitzen in Germany. And it was just an amazing co-production between these three countries.
Any question in the audience?
Hello, I'm Julie from Lille. I was wondering, does this series also aim to make Etty story as well known as Anne Frank's story?
If we want her to be known as Anne Frank, I don't
The
think
diary.
no one will be known as Anne Frank, but and probably this is part of the reason why the diary was published in the Netherlands so late, only in the 80s, because Anna Frank dominated the whole niche, so it took some time. I like the idea that so far Etty Hillesum is not known as Anna Frank, and we can discover her. It's a totally different personality, it's a totally different diary. And it's always, for me, it's much, I like it much more to explore someone and to discover someone to the world rather than doing another story about icon who is already known.
Hi, I'm Camille from Forma School, actually. I wanted to know, why did you choose not to make a historical show, but more a show in our generation and all that stuff, not including like ancient, I don't know, streets or anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, the easy answer for that is this is what the diary is. The diary, when you read it, is very modern and contemporary, and this is why I think it became so. This is why it spoke to so many people, and so many people found, related to it, because it is very modern. It is timeless. It is not a Holocaust diary. It is about how to live your life. So I felt that I need to be loyal to this kind of approach, and I need to find an equivalent, cinematic equivalent to this approach. And that I knew that from the very beginning that it shouldn't be a period film. And then the idea of making it like this came pretty late, influenced by the state of the world at that time. In the Netherlands, a right-wing person became almost the prime minister, Geert Wilders, and it was pretty frightening and disturbing. And of course, in my country there was a war, which again brought to life, I would say, images of from the past, and then I felt that the past and the present are not so far away from each other. This is the short answer for a very long. This is for a very long speech that I can speak about it, but for now I think it's okay.
Hello, my name is Melody. I'm from Cold.News. Hagai, this question is for you. Conflicts seem to be everywhere in your line of work. Political in Our Boys, intimate in Scenes from a Marriage, and psychological in Beauty Pool. Would you say you're rather drawn to stories about conflicts, and how does Etty fit into that?
Well, conflict is in the base of any drama, right? So I didn't invent anything by doing this. I think unlike previous projects, Etty also brings some answer and not only showing the conflict. Okay, this is I think why it is different, because in the previous projects that you mentioned, it's mainly to expose and to show a really tough situation, and in Etty, where it actually takes place in the most horrific situation, it's actually perhaps my most optimistic series. So, yeah.
I had a question for the cast, Julia, Sebastian, and Claire. Could you tell us how you got involved in this project, and what did you find interesting in your characters?
Hi. Yeah, I mean, of course, as an actress, in the most cases, you get invited to a casting. And Nina Haun was responsible for some of the German actors that are involved in this production. So she invited me, and then I met Hagai and Marjan, one of the creative producers. And it was pretty clear from the beginning that I felt totally at ease in this room amidst the story that we're supposed to be telling. And then it sort of worked out, and we got together, and then I started reading the diaries multiple times. I think by now I read it like 20 times, I guess. And that for me it was also a bit of some work to do, because I am Austrian, and then Etty, of course, was Dutch and speaks Dutch, and I couldn't speak Dutch, and then I sort of had the chance to learn this marvelous language. And and at one point then I could even read the diaries in Dutch, which definitely made such a difference in understanding the world that she is craving through words, as she is also was an aspiring author to be. Yes, and then I totally fell head over heels in love with everything that she's doing. And this, brought us here, I guess.
Yeah, for me it was, hello. For me it was the story. I read the script. I didn't know her before at all. And I read the script, and I was immediately taken by it, and told myself, this story has to be told, and it's a story that has to be told. And Hagai was fighting years to do that, and eventually he got it set, and this character of Julius is such a courageous and a man who's thinking out of the box, which is quite important, I think, nowadays. To don't search the solution in the system. It has to be somewhere out of the system, because the system is not working anymore. And that is what he did already in the 40s. For example, that he combined this therapy with wrestling, with hand reading, palm reading, which is quite courageous and quite intimate as well. So he came from the psychoanalysis, and he was believing in that. He studied that, and at a certain point he couldn't do it anymore. So something was missing, something personal, to the eyes, to get in contact. And then he was, since his teens, he was a palm reader. He had the intuition of it, and he dared to integrate that in his therapy, and to have this moment to open someone's palms, and it's quite loaded with prejudgments, you say? This whole hand reading is quite busy with old women with no teeth telling your future and fortune. And I think it's a very intuitive thing, because it's very intimate, and people are a bit suspicious, and they open up, they are curious, and you have quite an access and see a lot of your patients. It's like a diagnostic instrument, let's say. And that's all these things. Wrestling, for example. Wrestling is such a close thing. I mean, your eyes are about 30 centimeters away from each other, and you have to defend your space. You have to be aggressive and very intimate things, and with the person you don't know. So you can read a lot, and he dared to do these things and to believe in these things. And he is a man full of love. It was a selfless love. It's not like to make his ego happy. He wanted really to help people to get in their place, in their inner center. And I loved that, and I was really looking forward to do it, and it was a great work, and I'm very happy with the result, and here we are.
Am I right, Sebastian, as an anecdote, that you knew his son, Julius Spear's son?
Yeah, he was an actor, a TV actor in Berlin, actually. I knew him from shaking a hand.
Yeah.
I knew him properly. And Julius, for me, the character was important, not I didn't try to copy Julius Speer. For me, it was the idea that a man in this time was daring to do such weird things, but full of belief and full of love, and it worked. And that's why I was intrigued by that very much.
I got in touch with the project also because I was asked to do a casting, first for Etty, and but it's a good part of the story actually, because I entered the room and Hagai was there and Yaël was there, and it was a I felt very special, like magical, attentioned way in this room, and there was a little bit of magic in there, and love or something for the project and Etty, and so I found it a very beautiful casting, and also to meet those, Hagai and Yaël. And it was also very funny because I don't know if you remember it, but when I was doing this casting, it was a heavy scene. A comic duo was rehearsing a scene in the room next to it, and it was a quiet scene till one point, and they rehearsed it a lot of times, and then they start swearing like very rude things, and I was Dutch and I can understand, and they only heard screaming sometimes, and after the fourth time the casting director said, I'm gonna go to the room next to this, and I will. But then I did fall in love with Etty, and I didn't get the part, but Hagai said, I want to see you for another part. And then I came at the casting for this part, and Julia was there, and I also fell in love with Julia. and then I was chosen to play Lizzie. And Lizzie is a combined character from multiple women, and Lizzie is the best friend of Etty, and she is also a bit in love with Etty, and she has a lot of love for Etty. So I already felt that, and I love the altruism and the humanity in the story, and also in Hagai and in everyone in this project. I felt this, and I loved that. And in Lizzie's character, I saw that in the fact that she has the opportunity to get away and flee. It's dangerous, but to Belgium with her family, and that she feels so bad about it because she also feels so responsible for all the other people who are in this situation, and she feels so privileged that she could do so. And I found it such an interesting way of looking to this situation, because I never thought of it that way. Maybe also because it was in the 40s and it feels like such a different time. And also that made it so close to this time, just as Hagai just said. So that's the way I got involved.
Hello, Céline from Le Figaro. For the actors, what did you keep? What did you learn from your character and from the Etty story?
I think it's enough to say that having the enormous chance and pleasure to get that part has definitely changed me forever. And it's been now 1.5 years, I guess, since we sort of stopped filming. And it's a different way of behaving that I learned, and a different way of meeting new people, meeting people that I've known from long ago. And I think I'm just a very much more calm and forgiving person who is also searching and not perfect. And yeah, but I'm just filled with so much gratitude when I'm thinking back.
Yeah, it does something. These characters, they are so strong, and the word love is falling quite often here in the last 10 minutes, and it's about love. It's an unconditional love. And perhaps, yeah, that's what I take with me, to love unconditional, to see what is next to me and how to react on it, and to help and to be part of that. And what I said before, the thinking out of the box is for me the most important, what we should really do, and our future is not, the answer is not in the system, it's off system. And I learned that perhaps from Julius, and I think it's a good lesson, and I take it.
I think also the gratitude, I learned from it, and I'm more busy with actively thinking, where am I grateful for? And I think also to be at peace with not knowing and asking and searching. And well, that actually, yeah.
Hello, Julien Broquet from L'Express. I wanted to know, how did you deal with the fact that you were playing and being existing people, but not in their times, actually? Did it change the work?
No, I mean, the emotions probably were the same, or sort of, for me at least, related to each other. And of course, if you are in a shooting day and you're in Amsterdam and there's 100 extras with Nazi costumes and everything is like these days, it's absurd, but then it's also, yeah, maybe not too far away in different outfits. You know, I'm not gonna, yeah, you know what I'm saying. But I think for me, it was always the chance to be in those moments. This is also a very dear part of what Hagai gives to actors who work with him on the set, that you don't have to worry about anything else than just being in the present with all the emotions that come up, although they might not be written in the script. And then you're feeling it on that day or whatever happened, you know. And it really gave us, or speaking for us, if I may, a great freedom, which then doesn't give you too much time to think about things and compare centuries with each other. Yeah.
I think we are in a very similar situation, but Hagai said that before. It's almost like a blueprint what happens now, these right-wing upcoming parties, and we didn't learn anything about of our history, and this is insane. And I think it's almost, of course, they moved perhaps a bit different. The people in the 40s, they had a different habit, but I mean, thinking out of the box today is still it's weird and difficult and not allowed, and it needs courage, and it needs really something, and you have to be strong, and that didn't change at all. So I loved the idea so much to do that, not in costumes, not in a period film. It happens right now. We are surrounded by this violence and about these weird things which repeating themselves from I compared with in the 30s, the beginning of the 30s, and if you see Trump, what happens there, it's so related. And that's why I'm very happy that we didn't do this story in Nazi costumes and in period, because it's a subject we are in the middle of it, I think.
Yeah, also in a more practical acting way. I think when you are in the costumes of a period, like back in the days, then you also feel like this, I don't know, more tensed or more uplifting thing. Also, well, the girls are always heeled and with skirts and everything. And because Hagai took it more to this time, we were maybe also feeling more in our own bodies or in ourselves with it. I don't know if you can follow what I'm saying, but and that made it maybe more grounded, and that you felt how close it is, easier, and how how the people in the 40s have the exact same emotions as now. Instead of that you see this period through the eyes of, or through the movies you have seen about it. It's more close to you, I think.
Hello, I'm Guillem from South Spain. My question is for Hagai. You mentioned you started the project as a film. Why did you choose to do it as a series, and why was it a better format for the idea you had with this adaptation? Thank you.
Right. Because I needed more time, more scope. You know, it's what happens in the story is a very deep transformation. It's a very complicated process, and I felt that, you know, the movie became 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and then I felt, yeah, okay, so this is what I know how to do, which is series. But in a very poetic way, now we are screening it in cinemas as a film. It's going to start in Paris in the next weeks, and it happened already in Tel Aviv, and apparently it's working. I think it's like I mean, this series is much more. It's still much more of a film. You know, this is what. Yeah, I cannot say otherwise. And I feel that watching it in cinema, in a way, and this is a very new format, but you can do that, is great. And in a way, it brings the project into its initial ideas.
Hello. It's a question for Julie. I just wanted to know if you knew Etty Ilson before the casting, and how did you understand her evolution, her choices?
Thanks for the question. I unfortunately didn't know her before, and that is of course a pity, because I wished, of course, many people, but then also, of course, so many women would have the chance and access, also not only here, to read her words that inspired so many already, and I'm just aligned with all the people that she inspired to this day. And I mean, the part that is shown of her life in the series is about 2 years, or 1.5 years, so there's so much more that you could probably tell about her. So it's you know, you can just try to have a glimpse at so many colors that she brings to the table. But her journey, also her spiritual journey, that is not really like connected to religion in the first place, but like a belief, I'd love to say even more. Of course it has a religious background, or a fundament where it's built upon, but what elongates her thoughts and her wishes and her dreams is the thought of like going within and being within, and from this place on and going outside. And this is, of course, I grew up in a sort of spiritual sort of background, but not really, and then I became a teenager and it became really cool and lost that again. And through this project I definitely got aligned with so many techniques she used. She also learned from Julius Spier, and I also started writing a diary. This is what I tried to, like, you know, I felt stupid, and then I wrote like, okay, I'm writing, it's stupid, but I'm writing at least. And then of course this sort of selflessness, I think it's not enough the word selflessness for what she did, but this is the only word that comes to my mind right now. This is something that was the biggest challenge, and of course you get the part and you're like, but why did you take me? It's so strange. I feel very glad and happy, but it's like, strange. And then of course I also looked in the mirror and thought, but you're not as good of a person as Etty was. How could I even, you know, be eligible for that part? And this distance, and being, you know, generous with myself and generous with the way I try to be and behave on this planet. Yeah, we're a big challenge, but I think I managed, and I'm very glad. And I hope that some others might be inspired by the challenge that she went through and also start their own challenge. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hi everybody, I'm Clara from RPL. I wanted to know what was the place of Arte in this project? How did you collaborate together? Why? Just want to know.
Well, I'll be very simple. Everything has to do with the beautiful cooperation between Hagai Levi and Les Films du Poisson, Yaël and her partner Laetitia. They had been working a long time above around this adaptation of En Thérapie, which we figured out could be the great concept to address two of the trauma in the French society, which was the terrorism attack from over 10 years ago, Bataclan, and then the COVID. And it came out that actually, I remember that we discussed two projects. One was another adaptation of your previous work with two people that I won't mention, seen from a marriage. And then you mentioned this. I just happened to have read the book because one of my Catholic teachers, Catholic sisters had given it to me, so I knew the book, Etty's book. And then we came along, but it's mostly the reward goes to Hagai, that had been working over this project for many years before it came out to be suggested by Yaël as a series. So it all came from a long way. Usually what happened is that people from television, they just happen to say yes to projects, but it's because they've been matured for a long time by creators and producers. So that's what happened to us. It came out as an absolute evidence of the quality and how timely it is to be telling these stories. And maybe I would like Alex to say a word as well around the fact that it, for us, the fact of tackling a production with our partners from SWR and our other partners in Europe was also very timely, including the fact that it was going to be shot in Netherlands and in Dutch. So maybe we could say one word about the language approach to our co-production now.
I think you've said it all.
I woke him up.
No, you've said it all. It was an evidence, a kind of obvious mission for all. I think you all felt the spirit and the drive of Hagai bringing that gift to us. So it was for, I would say, the idea of doing something very meaningful, which is a kind of what we're trying to do in Arte. It was pretty obvious on one side. The other side is that we're thinking more European than before, more European, I would say, than ever. And with those kind of projects, after we initiate some experience with No Man's Land first and then Rematch, it was really another gift for us to bring other partners around the table. The German from SWR, our colleagues from with Brigitte, and then NPO in Netherlands, and other partners with outstanding producers from Completzen and Topkapi, and also a distribution with Etty F1 Studio. So all those partners all around, and we were probably just the first to say yes, and to bring all those people with Hagai and Les Films du Poisson, which was just a gift and a mission for us.
And it's also very important for us that it's public money that is funding such an important message that is all conveyed by the talent of Hagai and all the actors and the great producers that the Film de Poisson is. So it's very important for us to convey the idea that public funded companies have to play their card.
No, I can just say from my end that I've never had such creative freedom in my life, before working with Arte. So this is an unbelievable experiment. They even sometimes told me, this is maybe too commercial. You can go even more experimental. That was crazy, and you cannot have this kind of experience even in the best places in America, which I had the privilege to work with. So that is, I don't want to do anything but this anymore. In America, it's the money is so big, and it's a private money, and it's business. It's not art like Arte. It's art and business. So even when I work for the most, artistic and cutting edge, like HBO, it still has to be. You have to think about it. That this is so much money. It's private money, and you cannot ignore it. I was lucky to do in America project that I didn't have to compromise, and that is HBO, and they were very much personal, but that was even more.
Maybe one last question.
Hagai, what matters you the most in the first reaction of the audience?
Say again, please.
What matters you the most? What's the most important for you in the first reaction of the audience?
What is the most important in the reaction of the audience? In the first reaction, yeah. Yeah, I understand. I'm just thinking. Yeah. What I've seen so far is that by the end of the 6 hours, 5.5 hours, people are in a state of shock. And they, and it looks like they went through a very powerful experience, and they are in shock. And this is for me a very good start to go from there and get other ideas. Whenever I do Q&A after screenings, the first reaction is shock, and then people, they want to know so much, they want to speak so much, they have so much emotion that they want to convey. But as I said before, it's the first time that people tell me thank you after they watch it. I'm not used to it because I do good things, but they're not. It's not like this time when people feel, or I feel that people feel that I gave them something and to go home with, and this is a new thing, and I hope this continues.
I had a very special experience in Venice when we streamed it in 2 evenings in the cinemas. And it happened indeed at the end of the 5th episode that this woman was in the room. She was physically there after 80 years, and this is what cinema can do, and I was totally impressed by that. That the fact that the spirit of this woman is, we are surrounded by that spirit, and she's part of that room, of this, almost physically. And that was for me a huge experience, and that's what cinema is able to do, this huge screen, because you cannot escape, you have to stay, and you get in contact. And that was spectacular to feel that and to experience that.
I'm sorry, I was a little bit pessimistic, and as Hagai said, it's an optimistic show, so we have more time for more questions.
On the book, obviously, and it's also projected in a unknown future. What were your inspiration as a creator and for the whole cast while you were filming it? Were you listening to music or reading books or watching other movies? What were your inspirations?
Apart from the diaries, I think my inspiration was Amsterdam, the city. And in a way, you know, I arrived Amsterdam starting the production, starting very early pre-production, just after October 7, and it was a shock to be in such a beautiful and calm place. And by the way, that was the moment when I said, yes, but what if in this beautiful and calm and modern and tolerant place, suddenly Nazis are walking in the street? DOP who knew exactly how to shoot this specific landscape and light that you have in Amsterdam.
Hi, I'm still Camille. I wanted to know how was it to work on this piece while the war was going on in your own country?
At a certain point, even before I left Israel for the production, I entered into a state of mind of a bubble. I stopped reading the news completely. I cut all the social networks, and it's still going on right now, almost. And that helped me. And I felt that every time that I am in Amsterdam and with Etty, something is going away, something is falling off my shoulders, and I get into a totally different state of mind. So that was my way.
I had a question because, Sebastian, you mentioned that for you, this show is also talking about love. Do you think, and my question is for everyone, that it's also about sacrifice? Because Etty says in a beautiful scene that she can bring something to people, and she's talking with class, and he answers, yes, if you stay alive, and she says, even if I die, then I can bring something. Do you think that this notion of sacrifice is also like an important point in the show?
I want to say something important. This is not sacrifice. It's not sacrificing, and Etty is not a martyr. It's different. Etty, I will let you answer, but it's important to know that Etty didn't go to the camp to die. Etty thought that she thought that she's going to be alive, and she went to do something, as you said, helping people. Yes, the opportunity of death was there, but I wouldn't like to use the word sacrifice, right? It's more, maybe the right word is more solidarity. And now,
for me, it's almost like what is a human being? What differentiates us from an animal? We have the power to say no and to have an idea which is bigger than life, and to practice this, what Etty does. And I think this is spectacular that you have an idea which is bigger than your life, you know. And this is, I wouldn't say sacrifice, the same like you said. For me, it's just when do I stop to be a human being? Where does it start to be a human being? What is the difference? What can we do? What chances we have? And that's beyond sacrificing. It's just we have to we have the possibility to think about these things and to act like that, it's difficult and it's very courageous to do that. You need a strong belief, but it's possible, and this is tremendous to know that.
Last question, I promise. I just wanted to know if Etty was there right now, what would you tell her? Yeah, that's a hard one, I know that. But like, what would you tell your own characters if they were here with us right now?
I think it was Julia Spear saw that Etty is stronger than him, more courageous, and he put all his energy in his love, and there was no jealousness he was supporting that till the end, and I'm very fond of that. I love that he felt all of a sudden the pupil got stronger than the master, and he's supporting that, and he's ready to support that without any vanity or regrets.
Yeah, there is a million words I'd say to her, I guess, but probably I'd also let her know that she is now a very famous author. Also, in the end, she didn't want that, but I think she can be really proud of herself.
So the last question this time. And maybe it will be mine then. You also talked about the fact that right now, with the rise of far right, or with conflicts around the world, the show has a lot to say, and maybe we are not taking enough lessons from the past. And there is another very important point in the show, that is art. And at one time, Etty says Pushkin is very important, even when things are falling apart. And you are all artists. So what can art do right now when we can see all this conflicts and rise of fascism again?
Yeah, I think by the end of the series, in the last words in the diary is Etty saying, let the artists write beautiful words, beautiful things in time of peace, to help the people in time of war. And I think it can be also vice versa. I think you can, during time of war, during horrible times, you can use it to say universal things, universal ideas for people all around the world, for people who are not in state of war, but just living their life, to take lesson from this. Because the most amazing thing is that Etty wrote from the most, horrible situation for people who live just normal life. So I think the role of art in our time is to understand what is human, because it's a good point to see what is human, and bring it to mankind, to humanity.
Well, thank you, everyone.